One.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a Christmassy daily objective. So today is obviously Christmas is quite unique this year, but I think it's important to appreciate that the way this year has gone, the fact that at least some of us are even in a small circle with family, or even if we're not together, that our beloved ones are well somewhere out there. That's good news, and hopefully next year is going to be way better. But today needs to have a positive vibe. So we're going to discuss, not do something like a recap of one of my favorites, if not my favorite Peikoff episode ever. So Leonard Peikoff used to have a radio show, and one of his episodes was about Christmas. And I have to say that I like Peikoff's radio show so much because of its vibe. It's very much a 1990s vibe, and in a way, it brings you to a more innocent time where the biggest problem in the world was how philosophically problematic Bill Clinton was. So I get this nostalgic vibe, and I like everything. I like the intro. I like how you can hear the producer on the background. I like the music. I like everything. And perhaps my favorite episode, as I said, is the one that Peikoff is making about Christmas. And when first time I heard it, it was not Christmas, and it brings Christmas to my mind. But when I hear it around Christmas, it always cheers me up. So again, this year, Christmas is a bit weird, but if you want to get cheery about this, check this out. Where you can find it in Peikoff's podcasts, in Leonard Peikoff's website. I'm sure Raz is going to put a link on the description or on a comment or on the chat. And the episode is I think it's on February of 2015. That's when he uploaded it. Originally, it's from the 90s. So what he's actually doing in this episode is he's going to say, he's talking about Christmas. And he says, look, religious people and some conservatives are telling us that we have lost the true spirit of Christmas. And he says, yes, let's find what the actual spirit of Christmas is. And then he goes on to explain what actually the spirit of Christmas is in a quite heretic way compared to what is the popular view about Christmas. But before we get to that, Mark, tell us a bit about how you view Christmas, how you reacted to Peikoff's Christmas episode. Did it cheer you up? How do Christmas this year, and how do you see it? So how are things?
Humbug. Bah, humbug. No, I actually didn't get the memo. So I was actually listening to Leonard Peikoff's podcasts and not listening to the radio show specifically centered around Christmas. But I did listen to every episode of Peikoff's radio show back in the 90s when it was actually happening. I thought it was the best radio show out there. So I don't remember specifically what he said, but I'm sure my feelings right now about Christmas are in alignment with his, probably unconsciously. Christmas is a time where we get to express generosity and beneficence towards our fellow man, the people that we love. We get to demonstrate our appreciation for them. And we can do that because we live in tremendous wealth, and we live in a country that, for the most part, endorses freedom, and that gives us the amazing level of production that enables us to be able to take the time to sit with friends and relatives whom we like in front of a nice fire and a big Christmas tree and give out presents, because we have so much surplus. We have surplus on a scale unimaginable in human history, and to me, that's what Christmas is. It's a celebration of human production, of the mind's capacity to make us wealthy, and to give that in appreciation to the people we love. So I don't remember if that's anywhere near what Peikoff said, but I'd be interested in hearing.
And actually, not only that, but it's also, and this is going to become hopefully prominent this year, but it's also in a way a rebellion and resilience against misery. So I remember, for example, Christmas in 2010 to 2011 in Greece, when we were in the middle of the crisis. I remember on the family dinner, we had something like spaghetti with some sort of chicken. the atmosphere was always the same. So it doesn't matter whether it's a crisis or a bad situation. Christmas always brings the best out of people. And even in these difficult days, after we'd go out with friends, even if we'd end up in a cold room just hanging out, of course we can't do this year, but yeah, so I like Christmas because it's always, in a way, it asks you to be your best self. And by the way, this is why a lot of people say that Christmas is always a letdown, or New Year's Eve is a letdown, because it gives you these high expectations. But the mere fact that every year we expected that this is going to be so great, even if it's not so great, the mere fact that we look forward to it every year, although we know that usually it's not as great as we thought it would be, I think that's something good in itself.
Well, what do you think? What do you think the best self is? So when you say Christmas sort of forces you to put your best self forward. There's a lot of people out there who think it's the spirit of giving. They would put it under the umbrella of altruism and say that's your best self. Now, how would you define it, and how is it different than what's out there, what's commonly out there?
Yeah. So, for example, there used to be a time where, specifically when the cell phones came out, where you would text literally everyone on Christmas. Now, so the non-altruistic thing I do is that I usually contact only people that have had a positive impact in my life. So yes, you want to give, but you want to give to people who have given you for the last months, or people you appreciate. That's the one thing. The other thing is, yes, benevolence is part of being good, because when you feel good about yourself, you want to go out and queue in the supermarket and buy stuff. Although you might not have a lot of money, you want this to be a beautiful moment because you love the people around you. And I think that people who have this view towards life, they have a good Christmas. If you do it as a duty, so quite often I see people getting stressed. Oh, is Christmas dinner gonna be ready on time? No, if you see Christmas as a duty, it's not good. And I think that's where the letdown is for most people. But if you see it as, look, this is my chance to be with the people I love and have a good time. And as you said, celebrate. I also like the fact that people are dressed well during Christmas. I mean, now it's like 20 degrees, so we're with our summer clothes. But it has this elegance. It has this special occasion. And we need these things. We need to remember that, no, life is not just drudgery and it's not just miserable things. It is that we want to be the best version of ourselves. So in a way, Christmas is a bit like romantic love. It's the moment where you envision yourself at your best.
I like that a lot. That's very nice.
Okay, good. Glad
maybe I'll put some pants on and actually celebrate Christmas then.
Right. Yeah. So, but
it's okay. You don't. There's nowhere you can go with that. There's nowhere you can go with that.
No, actually, there is somewhere I can go with that, because I hear many people this year. They say, "Well, this year it's not special. I haven't got anything to do." But do you think that the fact that this Christmas is so different, and for many people they have zero energy to do anything, do you think that it's going to make us reappreciate some of the things that we consider as self-evident? For example, will next year people who usually on Christmas are, again, I have to do all that work all day, I'm in the kitchen and I have to do all the shopping. Do you think that next year it's gonna be that this time we reappreciate everything and everyone's gonna be in a better mood, rather than in this year's mood, which is, as you said, the sweatpants and all that stuff?
I certainly hope that's the way we go. That would I don't want to say restore my faith in humanity, and not that my faith in humanity has been entirely shaken, but the rebellious spirit that I see out there from time to time, to me that does indicate that is a part of the Christmas spirit to me. You're right. It's a human rebellion against misery, right? You're saying, as a human being, you're saying, I don't have to slog along in life. I can actually pursue joy. Unlike any other creature on the planet, you could pursue joy for its own sake, and that's what Christmas represents: a rebellion against rebellion against, I don't want to say nature, because it's not. It's a highlighting of a particular aspect of our nature, but we're certainly not trapped in the same thing that every other creature on this planet is trapped in. This by the numbers, intuitive, pre-mapped out way of living. Lots of philosophers and writers try to say we're that now, but we're not. And Christmas is an example of how we rise above it.
And it's very interesting. I don't know what's your religious background. I have a Christian Orthodox background. So in Christianity, specifically in Orthodox countries, the big thing is not Christmas. The big thing is Easter, because it's about the suffering of Christ. Of course, there's also the resurrection, which is brilliant and beautiful, but the emphasis is not there. The emphasis is on the suffering. So Peikoff is saying actually that a true Christian, so he says that there's one enemy for Christmas, but that's not commercialization. That's actually religion. And he explains that, as you said, Mark, Christmas, not as Christmas, but as this celebration of the day becoming larger. I think with my horrible English, the term is solstice, something like that.
Solstice, yeah.
Yes. So he said this has been an ancient pagan tradition, particularly in ancient Rome. And the Christians were not happy about it. But at some point, because it was big, they said, okay, we need to appropriate it. And they said, oh, by the way, guess what, pagans? This is also when Christ was born. By the way, that's not the case. But that was the reappropriation. And it took centuries for Christmas to become like a thing. So, and when it became a thing, they saw it mostly as this not celebration, but this idea that this is time for you to think what you've done wrong. So think what is you need to repent. What's the term? You need to feel sad about the bad things that you've had. So this was the true, quote, Christmas spirit according to religion. So if you want to return to that, it's going to look a bit like the 2020 Christmas, where everyone is a bit thoughtful and no one is very happy. And actually, in the radio show, the first caller says, you know what, Dr. Peikoff, a true Christian should renounce Christmas. And Peikoff says, yes, indeed. And historically, this has been the case. So I don't know if it was also the case with you, but I remember since school. So the Greek education system was a weird mix of religion and kind of 1980s socialist trendy ideas. So the idea was always, look, people, appreciate Christmas, try to leave aside the commercial stuff. Did you have a similar experience?
I mean, I did go to a Catholic school in high school. And so the emphasis was on religion for Christmas, but I guess I took it seriously. You know, you go through a stage when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, where you really are seriously looking for answers. And for a while, Catholicism and religion sort of supplied that for me, but it never permeated me. I never felt that Christmas was a time of serious self-reflection. It was a time of celebration. So the secular American version of Christmas was never beaten out of me. And look, in our secular traditions, we have a time and a space for reflection and self-improvement built into the holidays. It's called the New Year's resolution. There's nothing negative about it. You don't have to flog yourself for your sins. That's not deep. The New Year's resolution is an acknowledgement of where you need to improve in life. It's completely pro-life, and it's an acknowledgement that you're capable of making those changes in your life. The resolution, if you stick to it, you will find improvement in your life. So the secular tradition is so much better, right? It's emphasis on celebration of life, joy, happiness, togetherness, wealth, and then in the new year we can be reborn. You know, we could decide what kind of person we want to be and set rules for ourselves and pursue those and be reborn. I think
it's a new blank page. Now, practically for 99% of people, this thing doesn't work. That's why resolutions fail so quickly. But it's a nice idea. And Peikoff says,
yeah, but don't you think it doesn't work because people forget that life is an ongoing process? I get the sense they think you set a rule, you do it once, and that should sort of set you adrift in the right direction, and you should get where you have to go. No, everything in life is practice, constant constant doing, constant value pursuit. You said if you set a resolution, you just got to stick to it. That's the main. I think that's the main power of. That's the main characteristic behind any successful person. Is I remember talking to Frank Darabont, the great director and writer, about what his particular talent was, and he says, well, it's not writing or directing. It's that I can keep my butt in that chair until the project's done. And, if people resolve to do that with their resolutions, then they're going to be a very different person in the next year.
That's true. And although I like all this idea of resolution and stuff, I don't do New Year's resolutions. Recently, what I've done, and actually it's with someone from the inner circle of the WhatsApp group of ARC UK members, we became accountability partners with an actual deal with money. So every day I don't, so I said I want to do more sparring, because since the lockdowns, my martial arts school is closed. He has to do something else with programming, and every day we are kind of accountable to each other. And this is way more consistent than this idea that, oh, next year I'm going to do something like that. Because as you said, with the thing missing from the year resolution is this continuity. Whereas if you have every day someone says, where are you? You didn't send me, therefore you owe me 5 more pounds. This works better. By the way, here's another commercialized process that actually works.
Indeed. And I hate to take a page out of the Alcoholics Anonymous book, but the idea that what really kills the addict and keeps them from being sober is when they look at the whole picture in front of them and they say to themselves, oh, I can't do it. I can't go a year, 2 years, 3 years, the rest of my life without booze, but I can go the next minute and I can go the next day. And they narrow their perspective down to that. So you make the New Year's resolution. It's your wide perspective, which you could probably become overwhelmed with if you keep that wide perspective and say, I can't do that for the next year. But if you say, well, I can do it today, and then you just do that every single day, and before long, it's become a habit, and you don't have to think about it and force yourself to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's how I've never ever actually quit smoking, and I have always a packet of cigarettes like within 5 meters with me. But I think this is what has actually helped me. So most of there can be 3 months where I don't smoke a single cigarette. But I say, look, it's there. I know it doesn't make me feel good, but if I want it, it's there. So I think this works better than say, never again I'll be able to smoke a cigarette, because then it becomes this big thing in your mind. Anyway, that's a good topic before New Year, by the way, resolutions and how to keep them. I think Alex Epstein had an episode in the Human Flourishing Project. So going back to Peikoff, so he said the thing that made Christmas, everything that we like, was actually the Industrial Revolution. And it was the commercialization, quote, of society. And it was capitalism. And he said most of the things you like, the Christmas tree, Santa Claus, trading gifts, all this is a relatively new American phenomenon. So when you people say, oh, I don't like Christmas because it's too commercialized, basically you're saying, I don't like the Christmas tree, I don't like Santa Claus. By the way, Santa Claus got the glory from the guy from whom I took my name, because it was Saint Nicholas who was the Christian equivalent of Santa Claus. And that's why many Christians still don't like Santa Claus. And Peikoff says it's because Santa Claus is benevolent, but not sacrificial. Santa Claus is just. He says, look, if you've been naughty, no gifts for you. Santa Claus likes happiness, is a triumph of joy over pain. And he took Jesus and Saint Nicholas away from the forefront. And now he's, let's say, the protagonist of Christmas. So Peikoff actually, at the end of the day, says, look, Christmas is commercialism turned into a holiday. And this is good. Because if you take all this out, then Christmas is nothing from the things that you bring in your mind when you think Christmas.
That's nice. That's nice. I wish more people got the vibe that just because it's commercial doesn't mean it's bad or lowbrow. It just means accessible to lots of people, and that lots of people partake of it, and lots of people like it. I don't know. That seems generous, communal to me. What's to reject about commercial? Nothing.
Yeah, and it's also a bit like the thing that the left has, that every time you are about to be happy, it's like, wait, remember, do you know, people, that your Amazon parcel has an environmental footprint, or the workers, or on Black Friday, you know what? Every time you contribute to this commercial society, it's like, look, in my family, I have some very religious people. So I have the typical religious 70 years old aunt. She's never as pedantic as the leftists are with commercialization. So my message is the same. That was my message in Black Friday. Let people be happy. Try to contribute to this happiness. Try to add up to the good energy. Try to be the force that says, no, this year we're not going to succumb to pain. We're going to rebel against it, as you said. And next year we're back. Hopefully we're all around. We're all healthy and well. And next year we're back, and it's time to remember, the things that we forgot. And that anyone who wants a non-commercial Christmas, visit a poor country and see what these people wouldn't give to have your, quote, alienating and commercial Christmas, dear leftists or dear religious conservatives.
Yeah, the left are the new church ladies, and they should be rejected at every turn, as should the real church ladies. Reject all of that and just embrace your joy, my friends.
Embrace the joy. Okay. So I think that's a good way to put an end to today's episode. So I think the Daily Objective will actually have an episode tomorrow. I'm too much of a Christian Orthodox tribalist to be working on Christmas Day, but I think Razi has something set up with some of the other co-hosts. So from me, many thanks to our viewers, many thanks to our members, our supporters. It was a good the year was good. I met Mark, I met the other co-hosts. We have formed this community, which is a good place to be in. So, not everything is bad in the world.
Agreed. Now enjoy yourself, even though they're trying to lock you down over there.
Yeah. So, and on that happy note, I'll go help my brother-in-law in his cooking, because, Greece is not necessarily a patriarchal society, so we do some of the cooking as well. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All the best for Christmas.